In this video, I would like to extend a little bit on the intervals that we have been talking about. So we all know now the distance between two notes are the intervals. So here from F to G, that is a second. F to A, that's a third. That's a fourth. That's a fifth, because these are 5 letters apart. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the seconds. There are 2 types of seconds. Okay, for example, F to G, that's a second, but this is a major second, or we call it a whole step. Okay, when you have a whole step, there is 1 key in between them. Okay, that's a whole step. So for example, here, G to A, this is also a whole step or major second. There's 1 key in between these 2 keys. Now, from B to C, this is also a second, but this is called a half step or a minor second. There is nothing in between these 2 keys. That is a half step. Okay? And here between E and F, that's also a half step. There's nothing in between them. E to F. So here you can involve some black keys for the half step. For example, C to C sharp, that is a half step. Or G flat to G, that is a half step. Or I can say this is F sharp to G, that's a half step. Okay, or another one, we can have G to A flat, that's a half step. Okay, so that's the difference between a whole step and a half step. Now, in a major scale, the whole step and half steps are set as a fixed pattern. For example, okay, when you have a C major scale, you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. These 8 notes forms the C major scale. Okay, so from C to D, which is the first note, or we call that the first scale degree, to the second note, or the second scale degree. From first to the second note, these 2 notes forms a whole step. Okay, and then from the second scale degree to the third scale degree, these 2 notes forms a whole step again. And then from the third scale degree to the fourth scale degree, these 2 notes forms a half step. Okay, so far we have whole step, half step. After that, from F to G, that's another whole step. G to A is another whole step. And A to B, another whole step. And the last one, B to C, it's a half step. Okay, so whole, half, whole, half. And that is the pattern or interval pattern for all the major scales. Okay, so here, if I want to move on to another key, let's try G major. So I'm going to start with G. I want to copy the pattern, so I should start with the whole step. So G to A, that's a whole step. Okay, and then I need another whole step, A to B, that's another whole step, right? So the third one, remember the third interval, we need a half step. So let's see, B to C, Aha, that is a half step. Very good. So far, so good. Now continue. I should need a whole step. So C to D, that's a whole step. Very good. D to E, another whole step. And after this, I need one more whole step. But look, E to F is only a half step. What can I do to make it a whole step? So I need to raise the F to F sharp to keep a whole step pattern here. That's why you have F sharp as the key signature for G major. And then from F sharp to the last note, G, I have a half step again. So that fits the pattern completely, perfectly. So G, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. See, that's the G major scale. And follow the same interval pattern as C major. Okay, and this is true for all other major scales.